Insults are a map to your weakness. They never say it outright. It starts as a joke, a crooked smile, a casual line that slices deeper than it should. But you feel it. You always feel it. That wasn't humor. That was a weapon. Every insult is a quiet test, a psychological probe disguised as play. The moment you react, even slightly, the map begins to draw itself. They watch for it. Your flinch, your eyes narrowing, your voice tightening. You think you're defending yourself, but you're just handing over coordinates to your pain. Machiavelli warned, whoever reveals his injury gives the enemy the knife again. And that's exactly what most people do. They explain, they correct, they argue, but all that does is confirm the accuracy of the blade. Understand this, no one insults you by accident. It's not random. It's not just how they talk. It's a calculated strike to test your emotional structure. They're not trying to tell you who you are. They're trying to find out how much of yourself you'll give away. And the more you talk, the more they own. Defensiveness is a confession. Justification is surrender. Laughter is permission. But silence is strategy. Because silence makes them doubt. Silence forces them to wonder, did they miss? Or did you just not care? If you say nothing, you offer them no data. And in a power game, data is everything. When they get nothing from you, not a twitch, not a flicker, the map folds shut. You become unreadable, unreachable, untouchable. And that's the point. You don't win against an insult by counterattacking. You win by evaporating its target, by becoming invisible to it, by refusing to exist where it was aimed. Here's the truth. People insult to expose you. They want to know if their words can move you. Because if they can move you, they can use you. So when the insult lands, let it rot in the air. Don't wipe it away for them. Don't gift them clarity. Let it sit unanswered, like a stone dropped in fog. And while they squint to see if it hit anything, you walk away, intact, unreadable, and still in control. Tactic 1. Let the insult hang. Never clean their weapon for them. Don't correct it. Don't joke back. Let the words fall flat, unanswered. There's nothing more destabilizing than someone who refuses to validate the exchange. Tactic 2. Study the insult for motive, not truth. Don't ask, is it true? Ask, why now? Who benefits if you react? What power are they testing for? Tactic 3. Show no tension. Make them guess whether they even landed. Hold still. Keep your tone steady. Your indifference should become a fortress, not a mask, a wall. According to Machiavelli, if you must reply, make sure your silence echoes louder than their insult. And that silence, when held properly, becomes fear. Because the moment they don't know what you felt, they fear what you might do. Welcome to the first lesson of insult warfare. You don't win by striking back. You win by vanishing behind your own silence and leaving them swinging in the dark. That defensiveness is a confession. They don't need proof. They only need your reaction. You think you're protecting yourself when you speak up, when you explain, when you clarify, when you correct. But in reality, you've already lost because you reacted. And in the world of power, reaction is weakness made visible. Here's the truth. You don't get insulted. You expose yourself to insult. The moment your emotions take the front seat, your silence is replaced with explanation. And explanation is the beginning of collapse. You didn't mean to confess, but you did. With your voice, your eyes, your tone. Every justification you offer is a signal, flare, that confirms their suspicion. You care too much. You've now validated their accusation, and worse, you've made it stick. According to Machiavelli, he who speaks to justify himself often does more harm than his accuser. That line isn't about right or wrong. It's about perception, and perception is the only court that matters. When someone insults you, they aren't looking for the truth. They're looking for your emotional blueprint. And when you answer too quickly, when you rush to deny, when you get loud or desperate or overly articulate, you've just handed them the map to your emotional architecture. It's not just that they hit a nerve, it's that you showed them where the nerve is. Now, they know exactly where to press next time. In high-stakes social environments, especially where dominance or respect are currency, silence is not absence. It's dominance in camouflage. The one who speaks least often wins the most, because power doesn't beg, power doesn't explain, power lets others spiral. This is why your defensiveness is a gift to your enemy. You think you're repairing damage, but you're confirming it. You think you're setting the record straight, but you're only proving you're off balance. Learn this: your explanation is not protection. It's proof of panic. So what do you do instead? Tactic 1. Pause. Before any response, install a 3-second silence, not just to calm yourself, but to create psychological friction. Those 3 seconds will feel like eternity to your accuser, but they will recalibrate the energy in the room. Suddenly, you're not reacting, you're calculating. Tactic 2. Use stillness as a boundary. Don't fidget. Don't flinch. Let your stillness communicate your indifference. When you become unreadable, you become untouchable. Tactic 3. Replace words with looks. A cold glance, a crooked smile, a breath held. These are more powerful than any verbal defense. They suggest control, not concern. You are not required to explain yourself, especially not to those who would use your words as weapons. The longer you stay quiet, the more others begin to doubt the insult. Not you. They start to wonder if they misread something, if they went too far. That's the power of psychological redirection. But if you break that silence too soon, they know they hit their mark. So next time someone questions your character, your choices, your motives, don't justify, don't perform, don't even blink. Because when you stop defending, you stop confessing. And when you stop confessing, you start controlling. Machiavelli warned, never waste words proving your innocence. In politics and power, silence is far more persuasive. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them spin their narrative. But never hand them your truth on a silver tongue. Insults are status games. Stop playing. They don't want a fight. They want a reaction. Because the moment you react, you've already played their game. Insults are not anger. They're theater, a performance for an audience you didn't know you were standing in front of. And whether you like it or not, you were just cast in the role of the weak one. Here's the truth. Most insults are not about truth. They're about placement. They're subtle auditions for status. In every group, whether a boardroom or a sidewalk, hierarchy is being whispered into existence. And the one who dares to insult you is not expressing emotion. They're issuing a challenge, but it's not a fair one. Because the moment you respond, defend, deny, protest, you've validated their frame. You've confirmed that their words matter. That's the trap. They win by getting you to play, and you lose by even acknowledging the board. This is the true Machiavellian pivot. The most powerful response to an insult is to not respond at all, Not out of fear, not out of politeness, but out of calculated superiority. This is what I call the ghost frame, where your stillness is not weakness. It's detachment, where you operate so far above their game, the insult simply never lands. You don't flinch. You don't blink. You look through them like they don't register, because they don't. Not in your world. Here's how it works. When someone tries to lower your status with a jab, you don't punch back. You dissolve the frame entirely. They say, "You always think you're better than everyone else." You pause, breathe, then ask calmly, "Is that what you really think?" Or you say nothing at all. Let the silence sting, because silence is not absence. It's control. And when you don't give them the mirror of your anger, they lose momentum. They fall into their own emptiness. They reach and find no grip. Tactic 1. Answer with a question, not a defense. This flips the emotional burden back onto them. Now they have to explain, and in doing so, they shrink. They expose their own insecurity. Tactic 2. Stay silent, but hold eye contact. This is unnerving. It projects, "I heard you. I'm not moved, and I choose not to engage." In that moment, you rise, and they sink. Tactic 3. If you must respond, do it with ambiguity. Say, "That's one way to see it," or "Interesting." No defense, no agreement. Just a verbal shrug that kills their momentum. Because what ambiguity does is weaponize their own mind against them. They replay the moment. They analyze your reaction. They imagine consequences that haven't even happened. This is not about being passive. It's about being strategically unclear. It's about owning the silence between words, the space where they fill in their own fear. The man who cannot be read cannot be predicted, and the man who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. So when the insult comes, don't confront it. Let it float in the fog. Let them get lost trying to find their way back out, because real power isn't loud. It's ambiguous. It smiles while others burn. And by the time they realize you were never reacting, you were calculating. Always. Machiavelli said, "A wise prince lets his enemies describe themselves." Let them speak. Just don't speak back. They think they're cutting into you, but really, they're bleeding themselves dry. An insult is not an attack. It's a confession. Whispered in public, disguised as offense. They don't insult you to wound you. They insult you to defend themselves against your silence, your presence, your threat. This is the part they never understand. The moment they open their mouth to shame you, they mark the exact place they fear you. The truth is, insults are psychological intel. Most people only speak from two places, fear or envy, and both sound the same when they're masked as mockery. When someone says, "You think you're better than everyone," they're telling you they think you are. When they say, "You're cold," they're feeling the freeze of your detachment. When they say, "You're not even trying," it means you've made something difficult look effortless. These aren't insults. They're declarations of their emotional state in your presence. Study them, categorize them, let them talk. There's a reason enemies repeat the same insults. It's not creativity, it's obsession. When someone loops the same phrases at you over time, they're circling the same wound in themselves. It's not about you anymore. It's about what you represent. So you don't flinch. You don't argue. You let them dig. The more they speak, the clearer the map of their mind becomes. Here's how you make their insult your weapon. Tactic 1. Catalog the pattern. Keep mental records of repeated insults. Same phrases, same tone, same timing. These are signals. They expose what they admire in you and what they lack in themselves. Tactic 2. The mirror response. Reply once and only once. With strategic emptiness. Say, maybe, say, interesting that you noticed that. Or, could be. Each one is a verbal shrug. Calm, surgical, impossible to counter. It stops their rhythm. It forces them to hear their own words echo back with no resistance. Tactic 3. Reverse validation. When an insult is true, absorb it. When it's false, pretend it's true. Either way, agree. Flatly, not to surrender, but to disarm. The power of the insult dies the moment you carry it willingly. They can't hurt you with a weapon you refuse to fear. According to Machiavelli, the wise do not fear insults. They collect them. They wait. And when the time is right, they use every word to tighten the leash. You don't speak when they insult you. You study, because the mouth that mocks today is the one that begs tomorrow. Let them talk. You've already won. Emotional detachment is social armor. Machiavelli warned, emotion is a leash. The wise man chews through it quietly. He meant, don't pull, don't bark, just disappear from the chain. There's a silence that suffocates people more than any scream. That's the silence you must become. Not passive, not numb, controlled, decisive, fireproof. The ones who break down first are not the weak. They're the emotional, the ones still hoping the world will treat them fairly. You don't hope, you don't plead, you study, and from now on, you don't react. Emotional detachment is not a lack of feeling. It's the ability to feel without obeying it. Most people are ruled by their inner storms. You watch their faces twist when insulted, their voices rise when ignored, their posture changes when embarrassed. They bleed emotions from every movement and call it honesty. But honesty doesn't win power. Predictability does not survive cruelty. You must become unreadable, not robotic, not blank, but selectively expressive. Detachment is not the end of feeling. It's the beginning of strategy. It means you choose when to speak, when to glare, when to retreat. It means you become untouchable, not because you're hard, but because you're empty. Where it matters, you build a wall no one sees, but everyone feels. And behind that wall, you are untouchable. Start here. Develop a neutral resting face, one that absorbs tension like stone, neither smiling nor scowling, just present. Let them try to read you. Let them fail. Then slow your speech. Emotion leaks through speed, through rushed responses, impulsive words. Speak like time bends around you, like pressure doesn't apply to you and your body. Still, no tapping, no twitching, no sudden head turns. Each gesture must be clean, weighted, deliberate, like a weapon drawn slowly. When they insult you and you show no rise, they start checking themselves. They wonder, did I go too far? Was it even heard? Did it land? This is the psychological kill zone. Your silence makes them question their own power. And in that vacuum, you grow. Here are your tactics. Cold, daily, non-negotiable. Tactic 1. Meditate before conflict, before walking into spaces of tension. Breathe. Visualize your reactions as currency. Ask yourself, is this worth the price of my energy? Answer, no one is. Tactic 2. Practice the neutral stare. Stand in front of the mirror. Hold a stare with no message, not blank, not aggressive, just presence without response. Train until it feels natural, then wear it in public. Tactic 3. Use the internal mantra whenever provoked. Repeat silently. No one deserves my reaction, not because you're above them, but because they're beneath your strategy. The truth is brutal. Once they know how to move your emotions, they don't need to move your body. That's why detachment isn't coldness. It's armor. No one can twist what they can't see. No one can stab what doesn't flinch. According to Machiavelli, even kings were slaves to their outbursts. But the ones who ruled long were the ones who ruled themselves. So the next time they prod, poke, provoke, do nothing, because when they can't control your face, they lose control of the room. They don't laugh around you. They check their words before they speak. And when they look into your eyes, they find nothing. Machiavelli declared, "Make yourself feared by your silence and obeyed by your absence." Not because it sounds poetic, but because it works. Thesis: you are not defended. You are untouchable. Insults don't bounce off you. They vanish before they arrive, because you've made yourself uninsultable, not by being kind, not by seeking respect, but by removing all visible targets, by eliminating the need to respond. You've become the man who makes others feel watched, not judged, just seen. And that alone breaks them. Explanation: presence without vulnerability. Most people enter a room with hope, hoping to be liked, to be seen, to be validated. And that hope becomes a weakness. It leaks through the voice, the face, the posture. That hope is why insults land, because part of you wants approval. You want to belong. You want dignity. But the man who cannot be insulted has no such hunger. He does not seek belonging. He does not crave being understood. When someone insults you, they test your boundaries. If you flinch, even slightly, they learn where you bleed. If you explain, defend, laugh along, they own the frame. But when you do nothing, when your face stays still, when your posture doesn't shift, when your eyes neither flicker nor soften, they lose. Because now they feel exposed. Now they feel seen. Silence in that moment is not passive. It is surgical. It tells them, I saw what you tried, and I chose not to play. This is not about ego. It's about control. Tactic 1. Develop resting intimidation. Your presence must demand respect before words are spoken. That starts with stillness, controlled breathing, a posture that never begs, never shrinks, eye contact that doesn't wander, but doesn't seek approval either. You become the man whose silence weighs more than others' noise. Not angry, not reactive, just unreadable, unreachable. This is not arrogance. This is containment. Containment is power. Tactic 2. Let absence speak louder than reaction. When insulted, most people argue, defend, correct. That reveals a fragile ego. You, instead, leave quietly, unmoved. No words, no stare, no warning, just absence. And in that vacuum, they feel it. Regret, confusion, loss of power. Because your presence is valuable, and you just took it away. They'll remember that more than any comeback. Tactic 3. Make silence echo. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a message, but only when you know how to hold it. When someone throws a verbal stone and hears nothing, no echo, no response, no laughter, they face themselves, and that mirror is louder than any insult. Train yourself not to react. Breathe through the fire, because when your nervous system stops flinching, no one can control you. When your voice no longer trembles, you choose when to speak and when to vanish. When your eyes never plead, you stop asking for worth. You become the worth. The final shift. This is no longer about defense. It's about dominance. You don't fight off attacks. You erase the need to. You've stopped being an opponent. You've become the terrain. And no insult can touch what doesn't react. According to Machiavelli, it is better to be silent and feared than open and mocked. The man who cannot be insulted has already won, not with words, but with restraint.